The anime starts at school, in the first year of high school, in class 2. The story focuses on Rakudo, a student who is constantly targeted by bullying from Linuma, Tsubaki, and Tsuneyama. Rakudo sees himself as a plaything for the school delinquents, including his two friends, Hinamoto Masaoro, also known as the Colonel, and Kijima Kota, the boss. However, they console him by offering him a portion of their lunches. The studious students hear Tsubaki's laughter and look in her direction, especially at her legs. Tsubaki notices this and confronts the nerds. Her boyfriend asks what happened, and she explains the situation, warning them that if they look at her again, they will pay a high price. The three friends are shaken, and Rakudo realizes how many delinquents there are in his school and how weaker students like them always end up being treated this way. Rakudo goes to the bathroom and tries to convince himself to endure the situation. He has a breakdown and insults the bullies, while his friends discuss Tsubaki's skirt. They agree never to look at it again, as everyone has spies, and they complain about how unfair the world is, where delinquents always get away with it while exemplary students like them get left behind. All they want is to enjoy their school life, nothing more. At that moment, Linuma enters the bathroom, and the three nerds overhear his conversation, where he receives an invitation to join the delinquent organization called Onishirima. He claims that when he reaches the third year, he will lead them all. This leaves the three friends perplexed, not understanding how he can become a leader. The Colonel suggests that they take a break and play video games at Rakudo's house to relieve stress, and everyone agrees. When they arrive at Rakudo's house, they find a package left by his deceased grandfather. They open the package and wonder what it could be. It is revealed to be a scroll, similar to those found in Naruto, that grants special powers. Rakudo mentions that his grandfather was mentally unstable, and he doesn't remember much about him as he died when he was very young. However, he remembers that his grandfather liked him and that there was a family treasure, a scroll passed down through generations, containing spells used by warriors. In the end, they decide that they must use this supposed power as they are in a dangerous situation. The scroll starts to glow, and Rakudo receives a tattoo of a pentagram on his forehead, revealing that he is the heir to the scroll's powers. Not knowing what to expect, he returns to his school, where he is approached by two delinquents accompanied by a girl who try to extort money from him. Our protagonist says it's better not to harm him because he had just received mysterious powers. However, the girl next to him defends him and asks them not to bother him. At school, Rakudo is forced by Linuma to share his lunch with him, but Tsubaki asks them to stop bothering Rakudo. Then Rakudo realizes that Tsubaki is looking at him differently. He comments to his friends that the girls are treating him well, but his friends say it's just a coincidence. At that moment, Tsubaki knocks on the door and apologizes for everything she has done wrong to Rakudo, leaving his friends confused about how such a demon could come to apologize. At one point, an intimidating blonde appears and confronts a group of delinquents who mock her, but she easily defeats all of them. Nearby, the three nerds are walking peacefully when they realize that only the bad girls are looking at them, attracted by Rakudo's newfound charisma. Linuma arrives angrily, asking what Rakudo did to Tsubaki, showing a picture of Rakudo as her wallpaper. Rakudo is shocked and unsure how to react. He concludes that magic is real because it attracts the cool girls. Desperate, he runs out and accidentally bumps into the intimidating blonde who beat up the delinquents earlier. He discovers that she is affected by his magic. Later, she is in the same class as Rakudo, and it is revealed that she did not attend classes before. Tsuneyama confronts the girl at Linuma's request, but she completely ignores him with a scary expression. However, when Rakudo talks to her, her expression changes to a friendly and blushing one. She introduces herself as Himawari Hana. Unexpectedly, Rakudo gets punched in the face by Tsuneyama, but Himawari defends Rakudo and leaves Tsuneyama hospitalized. Rakudo becomes desperate and considers changing schools to avoid being near Himawari. However, he remembers her attractive qualities and ends up being drawn to her. On a bridge, it is revealed that Rakudo is determined to protect the school from the Onishirima gang because he believes that having Himawari as an ally will make him invincible. He promises to defend Himawari and awakens his masculinity, becoming a true alpha in spirit. The next day, 8 girls approach Rakudo, wanting to get involved with him. Himawari drives them all away with her anger. They talk, and Rakudo asks Rima to calm down and avoid fights. Minuma then confronts Rakudo because all the girls are flocking to him, promising to take him down at any moment. Rakudo returns to the classroom and realizes that Rima has been attacked without fighting back, due to the promise she made to Rakudo not to fight anyone. This leaves his masculine spirit ashamed, and he decides not to rely on the blonde anymore. He challenges Minuma alone, starting the fight. The fight begins, and Rakudo lands a weak punch on Minuma, who counters with a right hook. The boy shouts, questioning who Minuma thinks he is. This shocks everyone because Rakudo was considered a beater. However, Rakudo doesn't fall and keeps getting beaten up without giving up to fulfill his promise. Unconsciously, he asks Himawari for help, and she quickly lands a thunderous right hook on Minuma, swiftly ending the fight. Minuma is hospitalized and is impressed by Rakudo's resilience, gaining his respect. Rakudo cries in the rain, ashamed of having lost and having relied on Himawari's help. The next day, his class representative interacts with Rakudo's friends, revealing that the good girls are not attracted to Rakudo's powers. She observes the protagonist and notices several girls around him, shocked and thinking that he was a good guy. Minuma invites Rakudo to eat together, and the group that previously wanted Rakudo's money appears, revealing that they are Rakudo's subordinates. This surprises everyone, but the protagonist says nothing to save face, enjoying lunch with his new friends. The protagonist is happy to know that they are now friends and receives a message from Minuma, informing him that the school leadership, named Osanada, is looking for him. Suddenly, he is approached by a crazy guy with purple hair and his gang, who want to take him to Osanada. When threatened, the protagonist's spell is activated, and the cat next to the crazy guy starts protecting him, infuriating the crazy guy. At this moment, Minuma joins the protagonist's group, along with the boss and the colonel. They form a new group, determined to confront the lunatic. The protagonist's friends appear and tell him that he no longer needs to fight or do crazy things. However, the protagonist is determined not to be a weakling who just cries, motivating the rest of the nerds. The lunatic charges at the protagonist, but suddenly, Himawari appears. The protagonist's friends encourage him to confront Osanada, saying they are not afraid of her. At that moment, Minuma reveals that Osanada is actually a girl who appears to be in elementary school. The next day, Osanada shows up in the protagonist's classroom and tells him that if he confronts her, they will fight. The protagonist activates his spell, but it seems to have no effect. Emotionally, Osanada begins to say that he is dead, and the situation becomes tense. At that moment, Himawari appears, facing Osanada and challenging her to fight. The protagonist intervenes to calm things down. The protagonist receives a punch from Osanada, which seems too weak. Osanada is puzzled by that and asks the colonel to come closer, and she lands a powerful blow, turning him into cement within the wall. Osanada doesn't understand what happened, so she takes the protagonist to her room in the old school building. In Osanada's room, it is revealed that she loves cute things and allows the protagonist to stay there for as long as he wants. He piques her interest as a mysterious guy who has never evoked those feelings before. However, the protagonist feels guilty, thinking that he should make Osanada become a good girl to avoid unwanted feelings in her. Rokudo gives a lame excuse to return to his classroom, but it is revealed that Osanada has failed twice and is still in the first year. The protagonist sees this as an opportunity to turn Osanada into a good girl. She joins Rokudo's gang, and the colonel questions whether he is sure about the plan, considering Osanada is an untamable witch. Rokudo confirms that yes, and he has already come up with the perfect plan for it. During the oral reports, Rokudo stands up and proposes that the students observe the plant life in the school garden, due to the abundance of flowers, which would make it easier to follow without requiring complicated calculations or science. Some students question the proposal, but with the moral support of their new friends, especially Osanada, who orders anyone who disagrees to stand up, showing that there will be consequences for those who question Rokudo. With Rokudo at the top of the hierarchy in this group, the class agrees to water and study the plants in the schoolyard. Himawari asks Rokudo what she should do, and he suggests she follow him to show him sunflowers that haven't bloomed yet, ideal for observation, and create a romantic atmosphere between them. At this moment, the colonel and the boss realize that their plan to change the school might actually work, allowing for reforms and the use of their power for the good of all. Thus, an atmosphere of peace and harmony is created in the school, with everyone comparing and sharing their notes. However, the Onishirima gang questions Osanada's stance, as the initial plan was to cause terror and abandon the school. She seems to have different interests, mainly because of Rokudu. Later, Osanada expresses her happiness in becoming friends with our protagonist, but when she goes to check on the plants, she discovers that they have all been destroyed due to Kurakata's plan, who does not accept her actions. Furious, Osanada confronts and defeats everyone, leaving Rokudu shocked to see the destroyed flower beds. Amidst a discussion between Rokudu and the last of the Mohicans, the protagonist realizes Osanada's true interest in him and discovers that it's love. She confesses, saying she's in love, and then bids farewell, leaving him there. It is revealed that Kurakata is using Osanada as a pawn in a gang fight, revealing his true intentions to rise to the top, relying on Osanada's relentless assistance, as only another monster would be able to stop her. Later, in a moment of crisis with the destroyed flower beds, the protagonist asks for the blonde's help to save Osanada and others. She agrees, and the two head to the warehouse where the Onishirima gang is located. Himawari knocks out the guards with punches and knees and defeats the remaining members while the protagonist takes notes of the flowers made by Osanada. However, he ends up taking a punch from Kurakata but persists in his notes, even while getting beaten. He maintains a smile on his face, despite his deformed face, and approaches Osanada, delivering a convincing speech, angrily shouting at Kurakata, convincing Osanada to start a worthy life. Then, Osanada defends the protagonist from a blow by Kurakata with her own body. The gang's cavalry arrives, but the colonel and the boss appear with a barrel of wax, mobilizing their reinforcements and allowing them to escape. It is revealed that Minuma was the one who acted and provided information to make the plan possible. Thus, the Onishirima gang swears revenge, forming a new group, while they flee. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews of the best anime. A kiss from your captain, and until next time.